take a budget seriously. Like so many times we hear, I can't afford that to save. Oh, I can't afford to invest. I can't. I'm just living paycheck to paycheck, Seriously, take your income, subtract out your fixed expenses that you need to survive. So like a mortgage, insurance, things like that. Subtract out variable expenses that you need to survive. So like an energy bill, a water bill, that's variable, but you need it. And then what you have left over is your discretionary income.
Welcome to The Unstoppables, the place where we turn those intentions of yours into real dollars. Today, my very special guests are the co-founders of Nova, Amy and Jim Novakovich. Now, other than the fact that he's a Cleveland Browns fan, and I'm in black and gold.
I almost stepped out.
We're going to have a great show. It's going to be fun. Welcome to the show, you two.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, Bill.
You say something that really strikes a chord in me. It's that people are emotionally attached to their numbers. And the thing you're doing differently is you're really looking at the people. So give me your founding concept about how you take care of people and encourage them and actually help them to take care of their finances.
Awesome question. You want me to go first?
Sure.
So our overall founding philosophy, we were partners at our prior firm as well. And we kind of felt like we were doing this cookie cutter thing where we just kind of categorize people and say, oh, well, you need income. You're going to go in this great portfolio and look how great it's done. And by the way, you're grouped in with hundreds of thousands of other families. And, oh, you need growth. You're going to go over here. So when we left, we just said we're going to do things differently. We're going to manage everybody individually because just through our experience at a time, we had 1,200 families. So at one time. So we got to a point where you start noticing everybody has a different definition of risk. Everybody has a different definition of liquidity, of what's safe. So no two accounts should look alike. So that's what we ultimately did was we said, we're going to take money management and financial planning to the next level, which is the individual level. We have no two clients that look alike. So we do not only the investments at an individual level, but we do tax planning and cash flow and everything at the individual level. So it's that much more powerful. We feel like we're getting clients to their full potential. You want to add anything to that, really?
No, that's it. Yeah, we just felt like everyone else kind of does that. That's kind of what separates us from everyone else is, a lot of firms take a lot of focus in bringing new clients in. Yeah. And to be efficient, they got to put you in a bucket. And so we don't do that at all here. There's no buckets with us.
I'll tell you why I appreciate that. Because we often lose the heart and soul of a person when we try to marginalize them and fit them into some group that we have a pre-prejudice for. We assume they're going to do things a certain way, or they think a certain way, or the outcomes will be the same. And we lose, I think, the heart and soul of a person. And
they become just another number.
Yes.
And that's what we couldn't feel good about at the end of the day. We just didn't feel like we were doing the right thing.
I'm going to come up to 30,000 feet and come down to 15, but I have to ask how you met at your former employer, correct?
Yeah.
So
we are married. We're husband and wife.
Yeah, your husband and wife. And you're from Wisconsin, right? Yeah. Jim, you're from Florida?
Cleveland. Yeah, that tie is
That's
really
going. Okay. So you have a tremendous threshold for paying. You were a season ticket holder for the Cleveland Browns.
Well, I was this year.
Yes, we were.
We're not renewing those tickets. Yeah.
Well, where did you go? 0-16. Is not enough for you to stay invested? No.
We had tickets because I'm a Packers fan, being from Wisconsin. We had the tickets obviously in December.
Yeah, December 10th.
And we were like, it's too cold. Both teams aren't great this year. We just stayed home. We didn't even bother.
Yeah.
You have a gift, and your gift is the ability to anticipate what the market's going to do, anticipate and actually know beyond anticipation the needs of your individual client. So what do you tell us about how to stay prepared when we really don't know what to expect in terms of the volatility of a market? How do we stay prepared?
Yeah, a lot of clients think they can handle the volatility, but we've been really spoiled for the last, really since 2009. There's been pullbacks since 2009, but nothing that's last over 6 or 7 weeks.
Right.
So when clients say that they can handle risk, they can handle risk when times are good, but as soon as things go bad, they can't. So a lot of our job is managing
The psychology.
yeah,
The emotion.
the emotion of the market. More specifically, the emotion of the downtimes.
So I come out here and I say, I want risk. I want all this upside on this. Do you talk me down off the ledge a little bit? Do you give me reality in terms of what could happen in the worst case? Or you just take my money?
Well,
We just say, what's the goal? Like, so that's fine. You say you want risk and you want growth, but so what's your number? What are you trying to get to? Let's back it up a little bit and say, okay, if you have 20 years to get to your number, you don't have to go for this much risk. Why would you go for this much risk other than greed? You know, we calculate it, plain and simple.
You're educating me.
Oh yeah, we do a ton of
constantly.
education. I'd probably say we place a ton of trades, obviously, but I would say our second job right up there is education.
There's got to be a lot of people in the audience who've experienced the other way, the way of just trying to put them into a cauldron, into a bubble, into what it is, make the sale, get out of the way, make the money, just go away. But
Well, and they're always told to just write it out. They're always told, you know, okay, what's going on in the market? Oh, you'll be fine. You're diversified. You'll be fine. You know, they're told to just sit put.
you know, this is a word, and I live on words. And one of the things that symbolize the other company I have, the Woodage Group, is a paladin knight, which is a determined advocate. And you talk about being a dedicated advisor. What does the word dedicated mean to you?
So much. Do you want to take that? I got a lot to say about that.
Go ahead.
I think, and you can see the passion in when we talk, I think, but dedicated means that when you're really looking at their overall financial well-being, you're not just thinking about the numbers. You're not just thinking about the account. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example of what I mean. So I had this client come in for just financial planning. She was a referral and she just wanted financial planning. She's like, I've got my money with an advisor that I trust. You know, that's off the table. And when her husband passed away, I said, okay, so what did the advisor switch for you when your husband passed away? What changes were made to your financial well-being? You know, I want to adjust the numbers. I want to adjust the plan. What changes were made when your husband passed away? And she's like, why would they make any changes? They changed the account. Is that what you mean? No. Your whole life just changed. You just lost your husband who managed all your finances. You mean they didn't even bother to call you and ask you what your risk tolerance is? What your goals are? Nobody even cared to pick up the phone to maybe switch the investments when her husband passed away.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So when I say dedicated, I mean, we're thinking about the person, the human being of what in their mind their financial well-being looks like, not just the numbers.
I know the problem is though, everyone says that.
Well,
That's and so how do you differentiate yourself?
clearly they may say it, but they clearly didn't do it. They didn't adjust one damn thing when her husband passed away.
Right.
I'm feeling the passion. I'm feeling the passion now coming here. This is great. I'm getting hearts on the screen on Instagram, so I'm feeling the passion. There's a question up here. Interested to hear any financial planning advice that you would have. Good question here for millennials.
Ooh, that's a great one.
Good question there, Vince.
Can I take that too?
Sure. She talks a lot.
Oh, she
But
was
I'm tired. I'm tired.
Oh, that's your excuse. You're tired. That's why you talk a lot. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
So what was the question? Oh, millennials.
What advice do you have for millennials?
Time is the big thing with millennials. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my first, most probably immediate tip that I can give you is if you've got an employer with a 401k match, you better be contributing to that 401k so that your employer can give you 100% of that match. That's a 100% return. That is something that we cannot do. There is nothing out there that gives you instant, I put in $1, oh, I just made $1. That's in a 401k. So millennials, if they're working for an employer that has a match in a 401k, you better be maxing out that match to get the employer's money. So it's dollar for dollar. If I put in $2,000 in a year, I'm going to get a check for $2,000 in my account. That's instant. So, and there's so many millennials not doing it because they think that they need the money in their pocket. The next tip that I would have is, right?
Well, the person sitting across from me is one of them, and she's now going to contribute. So go ahead.
Yes,
Oh, very good.
please.
Our job is done here.
Our job Drop the mic.
Have a good day.
Drop the mic. Mic out. So the other thing I would say is take a budget seriously. Like so many times we hear, I can't afford that to save. Oh, I can't afford to invest. I can't. I'm just living paycheck to paycheck, you know? Seriously, take your income, subtract out your fixed expenses that you need to survive. So like a mortgage, insurance, things like that. Subtract out variable expenses that you need to survive. So like an energy bill, a water bill, that's variable, but you need it. And then what you have left over is your discretionary income. Take out all the spending, take out all the credit card statement. Your credit card statement is not your expense, that's your spending. And then take, wouldn't you say like 10% of that?
I don't know.
Put it in a savings, put it in an emergency fund.
Let me dumb it way down. Take, and for millennials, this is what every millennial should do. 10% of your take-home money, put it in a savings account. You want to build up your savings. You want to have about 3 to 6 months of living expenses in cash. So take 10% to savings and take the other 10% and start an investment account. And then you got 80% of your paycheck that you can blow and just have a great time.
Don't tell them to go.
They could blow it because they've taken care of their business by saving 20%.
So when
I'm a mom. We have 4 kids, and I'm not going to ever tell. No, don't tell them to go blow their money.
Well, they're gonna blow. Most of them are gonna blow it anyway.
Discussion here we got going. This is great. You're going to my next relationship coach. I'll probably give you a phone number in a minute.
You need some marriage counseling? We're great.
Oh, we always agree.
Now you've piqued the audience interest because I can see by the flow of these hearts. So I want to find out more about you. Where do I find you?
NovaWealthManagement.com is our website. We also have a podcast, The Nova Wealth Show. It's on iTunes.
The Nova Wealth Show. Okay.
Right. And then we do a live on Facebook. We do a live show every Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern. Just in general, people email us questions or they go to our website and they contact us and give us topics. And we do something every Friday. We've done one on cryptocurrency, on taxes, on investments in general.
Yeah, it's pretty lively too. There was one that I just walked out on right in the middle of the show.
I deleted that one, so they didn't have to know that.
Oh, that's right. Well, yeah.
You walked out?
He left me. Yes, he did.
You were having a discussion?
We were, yeah.
We were having a debate.
It gets pretty lively, yeah, and it's live.
And he left me.
I just got up and
That's how
left.
you keep your marriage alive, right? You gotta be able to have the walk away power, and then you.
I don't know that him making him sleep on the couch or me. I think I went to the couch that night because I was like, I'm out of here.
Well, I wasn't happy either.
But remember this about Jim sleeping on the couch. He's a Browns fan. He can take.
I know.
He's pain threshold.
No,
What you're
stop
doing?
reminding me.
What you're doing is I gotta hit that little Heelys. What you're doing is a deep dive of immersion because you're learning about the personality of people. You're learning about their history, the needs. You're endeavoring to find out, not just putting a blanket of guess around somebody. And that's
not just
cool.
somebody's time frame or their like what have you been invested in the past? Like I want to know your experiences. I want to know if you've had a financial advisor, what you liked, what you didn't. I want to know if you've been burned before in the market. I want to know what investments you liked and what you liked about them. Like I'm going to ask so many different questions other than just the checkbox of suitability question.
I'd probably be retired if I'd have found you earlier in my career. I have a love-hate with my money. Here I am working. So I am obtuse. I am dense. I don't have a clue about cryptocurrency. So give me just a real quick overview. What do you think about cryptocurrency, what it is, and where you think it's going?
Start with what it is.
Why don't you go ahead? Yeah.
See, he tells me I talk a lot, and then he tells me to talk.
Well, she does a better job.
Smart man always knows his limitations.
Okay, so money in general is just essentially a way to determine value, right? So if you have that beautiful Steelers tie, and it's worth $20, and it's worth $20. And we have a Browns tie and it's worth $5.
Wait a minute, wait. Why would the Browns tie be worth $5?
Bad example.
Amy, no, it's a great example. I'm following you.
So all you need something to just determine the value. Which one is worth more, right? So what happens with our dollar is that there has to be a third party validation. There has to be a bank that clears the check, or there has to be a credit card company that either collects pays the vendor and collects the bill from the owner of the credit card. There's always a third party. There's the Federal Reserve, there's the government. They're all involved in the dollar, right? So cryptocurrency is a way to determine value. You have a certain amount of value and I have a certain amount of value, but there's no third party in the middle. It's straight from me to you, and it's logged. Like there's a log. It's called blockchain, and they log every transaction. So that's where the compliance comes in, like the auditing, to make sure it's all legit without having this third party involved. So that's why crypto came about, is because in 2008, when everything hit the fan, everybody was like, wait a minute, I thought the government was supposed to be watching this, so that's why it came about. That was the idea. So it's just a way to determine value, and there's no third party that needs to manage it, that needs to clear the check, or it's direct from one to another. That's why they call it like a digital or a cryptocurrency.
Where do you see the future of this thing?
We disagree on that.
Well, I think the whole world is moving in that direction. I mean, it only makes sense. So I don't know. Every Monday I go in and buy. So I have a set dollar amount every Monday morning I buy. And then Amy disagrees with it, but I
don't think that can be determined yet, not even close.
Yeah.
I don't think you can put the value of Bitcoin is all over the place. I think it hit 9,000.
So Jim's taking his 10% and he's putting it there in crypto, right?
Right.
He'll be on your couch for a long time,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what are the ways to be prepared for those strange financial impacts? Is to take 10% and put it away, whether you're a millennial or not. Put it away somewhere. What other means can we take? What other steps can we take for that financial, the unexpected financial disaster? What else can we do?
Well, we have on our website, we have our commandments. So we have this list of things that you do and that you don't do. Like a big one is anything that is more than 1% of your income is not just a purchase. That's an investment, whether it's this really pretty grill or, whatever. I don't care what the purchase is. But it's no longer just a purchase, just spending. It's something that needs really due diligence. So as you're going through your life, if you look at spending this way and you look at anything over 1% of your income as an investment, all of a sudden it tweaks your thinking a little bit to be extra careful about when you spend money.
As to what appreciates and what depreciates, correct?
Yes. Yeah. You think twice about how much you put your money into something that depreciates.
Wow.
I like that.
Kelsey loves that. I feel the pain. I feel the
Ago.
pain of that. Yeah, I wish I'd have found it a long time ago. What are your other commandments? What other ones do you have?
Oh, well, we got a lot of them. Got 10.
The first commandment is find an advisor who isn't afraid to say no.
That's a good one.
Because I can't tell you, just this morning, we have a client that literally calls every 2 weeks and pulls money out. Unscheduled, just random, it was $8,500 this morning.
Yeah,
2 weeks ago, it was $4,000. So, but we constantly are saying, no, you're going to run out of money. But a lot of advisors are afraid to say no because they don't want to get fired. So you gotta find an advisor who's truly an advisor.
Who's truly putting your interest first. Like if you're just a yes man and you're just saying yeah because you don't want to rock the boat, you're not doing what's right for the client. We're not afraid to get fired. So we are happy just saying, no, this is not in your best interest. Actually, Jim, we have another client that spends a lot of money, and Jim insists on sending them a projection of exactly when they're going to run out of money if they keep up with this pace. Like on paper, he'll be like, put that in the mail it to them.
You're really the embodiment of service without that expectation of that financial return, in that you really are carrying, you're putting your literal money where your mouth is by saying, if we don't think this is right for you, we're going to tell you, you fire us, but we're still telling you this is right for you. And we stand to lose money here, but we're more concerned about telling you what we believe is our truth, is our reality, is it in your best interest. That's gold right there. That is gold. So I come to you, I'm not a millennial, but I know I look it. And I want you to talk to me through how do you start setting realistic financial goals? I'm sitting down across the table from you right now. How do we start? What's my ultimate goal in life? What do I want to do? Where do you take me?
So you start with what you have. You start with what do you have as an income or what do you have as assets?
$65,000 a year I make. So tell me what to do with that.
Okay, so where do you want to be in 10 years? Where do you want to be? Do you want to be retired? Do you want to be owning 7 businesses? Do you want, where do you want to be?
I want to be in Cleveland, Ohio. I want to be in Cleveland, Ohio. I hear there's some season tickets available. So I want to live on the lake. And I want to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame every day. And I want to watch the Browns. Those are my interests. And, to work for someone that treats me nice, treats me fair, that would be great.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Well, I would say you want to look at you look at the whole picture. So you make $65,000 a year. Do you have any debt? We want to make sure that we take care of the debt because it's awfully hard to save when you have debt, or that's a very common
digging
excuse.
out of a hole.
Right. So
it's hard to get ahead when you're constantly just digging out of that hole.
So we look at debt. We look at income, of course.
And then what do you have saved? Do you have anything saved?
Yeah, I have maybe $6,000 saved.
$6,000, and you want to retire in 10 years. So the first thing that we would do is
sleep on your couch.
And then, yeah. So the first thing we would do is let's help you set realistic expectations.
There you go.
So everybody has their goals and their dreams and their wishes, but one of our first jobs is to help you set realistic goals because we want you to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Our plan is to be around for the next 10, 20, 30 years. So we're going to be there in 10 years if you don't hit your goal. So we're accountable for that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to make sure you get there.
Let me share something with you. If you make $2 million a year, or you make $200,000 a year, or you make $40,000 a year, I have seen in my experience people live up to the means of.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, or maybe a little bit above it. So I've got this hole that I've dug for myself. How do you give me the shovel, the tools to start digging my way out of that hole?
That's awesome question. We have a whole podcast on that too. One of our podcasts.
What's the podcast on that? What is it?
Budgeting and how to get out of debt.
Yeah, we have a great, the debt, living beyond your means, it's so common, especially with, even like you said, someone with $2 million a year. It seems like our most successful clients or the perceived successful clients spend the most. Like the doctors, they have to have the lifestyle. They have to be perceived as someone extremely successful. And athletes do that too. They overspend. Yeah. So if there's debt, we have a great getting out of debt on that podcast. Is we simply take 10% of your take-home money and apply it to your highest interest debt. So if you have like 3 credit cards and one of them's charging you 20%, another's charging you 18%, and another's charging you 16%, you want to apply that extra 10% to the one that's charging you the most. And then once that's gone, take all that money and apply it to the next one, the 18%.
Take the minimum payment plus the extra money you were putting towards it. So it's like a snowball. So then you put that towards the next one. And then when that's paid off, you take the payment you were paying there plus all the money that was going towards the previous credit card, and you put it all towards the next one. Because you were paying those bills anyway. So you just keep taking it and consolidating it. I like that.
You know what I'm catching here? I'm catching the next podcast. You probably already have done this, but you might want to look into, if you haven't, the 10% rule. Pretty good one.
10% rule.
Yeah. Because a lot of your stuff is 10%. Savings, whatever this applies to all of us. And I think it's a good, that number 10 seems to be big now. They put X's behind it. But you can put the plus 10 rule, whatever you want to put, the 10%. And make it your own. I think it's a good podcast. What we're going to do next is going to be fun. This is going to be the most fun I've ever had doing the show. And I'll tell you why. Because whatever I frame by asking this person the first question, I want to see how much you have your own opinion on this. First, I would ask Amy, how do you define success?
When I exceed expectations.
Mm-hmm. And who creates expectations? You?
Who lays out the expectations? Are you asking me about me being successful or my clients being successful?
Take either one, because I think with you it's almost, I'm not gonna put this in your head, but I am. It seems to be kind of one and the same to some degree.
Yeah, for sure. So when my clients achieve success and I've exceeded their expectations, it's a concrete, it's not just this arbitrary feeling, it's a concrete accomplishment on paper and a clear success. Like, you know what, I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't want it to be so vague, like, oh, I think we got there. Like, how do you feel? Do you feel great? Great. Oh, we're successful. No, we have met and exceeded the expectations on paper.
What you're doing is marrying the subjective, oh, I think it feels like, with the objective, it's concrete.
That's right.
So you're really like a Venn diagram, and in the middle is your happiness. I'm kind of
Right.
putting this out right now.
Well, because I feel like any financial advisor, like, I feel like it's almost like a dirty term now. Like, you know, I feel there's so many, and they all say they're great at service and they're great at, you know, like you said, like, what did you say? They all say they're like unique. And, you know, when you said put your money where your mouth is, I think that's it. Like, we say, like, let's get that goal down on paper, and that's where we're going, and we're going to exceed that.
So to cut through all the noise that's out there, this is groupthink. This is okay. I'm coming back to you on success. You can keep thinking about the question, but to cut through all the noise, well, how do you distinguish yourself?
Just, I think the individualized money management, we don't know if we haven't met another firm that does it the way we do. We have clients that I ladder CDs and bonds for, and we have clients that we trade options for. Like, we literally have to come up with so many crazy creative strategies on budgeting, on cash flow, on investments, that we're not selling a product. You know, we're selling the odds of getting to your goals, I guess, is what we're selling.
Yeah, that's really the difference, because we've had other advisors, when you run into advisors in town, they'll say, you know, how's it going? What are you doing? And we kind of tell them how we do business, and they're like, well, that's not scalable. You can't do that forever, because you just can't. And, you know, we're going to prove them wrong. This is how we do it, and this is why we're different.
You know, I have a way of confusing myself by making things complicated, but when I break things down and make them simple, I actually understand it myself. I found the word sales to be so anathema with my personality, such a visceral field of something that was just dirty for me. So I changed it into engagement. And I would literally tell and change the whole dynamic of how I work with people to say, if this doesn't work for you, and you're the final arbiter of what works, not me, I'm not going to put some weird stuff down in some contract, then don't pay us. We'll put all of our money at risk. Then no questions asked, don't pay us. And it became more of an engagement and more of an interlocking relationship, rather than someone's going to take something from me, never going to hear from them again. And service doesn't really give a shit about me. And they're buying the Ferraris and the Rolls. So yeah, I love what you're saying, because we have a commonality there. And now it comes to the big time. Besides the Browns getting one victory, Jim, how do you define success?
Do they have one victory?
Not yet.
Last year.
Last
year.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, I saw there was a funny thing on Facebook. Yesterday was Hugh Jackson Day. It was 131.
Jump in the lake? Did you jump in the lake?
He didn't jump in the lake, but it was January 31st. His record is 1-31.
He's going to jump in the lake. Get his ass in that lake. Wait for it to warm up? Come on, man. So tell me what your definition of success is.
Success. So I think success is just feeling comfortable and healthy, and just not stressing over money.
So what if?
You know, if we have, if I'd say one goal for us is to be able to tell all our clients to go spend more money. That's my goal, because we have clients that they've been saving their whole lives and they have all this money and they never spend it. It's like, go spend some money, have some fun.
That's a great
So
one.
if we could do that for all of our clients, that would be
We do.
success.
We literally tell, we have clients that we say, would you please spend some money?
Yeah. But yeah, it's comfortable. Being comfortable is success for me.
You write, do something now that your future self will thank you for.
Yes.
Explain that for us.
I think that comes from a place where we've never, ever, ever heard, oh, I wish I would have started saving later. Oh, I wish I would have saved less. You know, if I'd only saved less. Like, you never hear that. You can never get back time. ever. So the only way to put that into words is to say just that. So do something now that your later self, you'll be like, you know what, man, I was really on it, because you're never going to get there and be like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have saved so much.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned millennials earlier. Millennials, there's nothing more important than time. Time is the biggest thing on your side.
Yes. Tell us this. You work together, you're married, you have 4 children, sometimes you're on the couch. Do you ever get jealous when somebody wants to go to the gym, shoot hoops, or go to a Browns game, somebody else got to work? How do you work that out?
No, I'd say she's really good with that, I'd say.
That means you're the one splitting, aren't you?
Notice he's the one always going and doing things.
She's really good with that. I can get the hell out wherever I want.
I got to go work last Saturday and drive my butt 3 hours up to Orlando and then drive 3 hours home.
Oh, it was work.
Everything was found in his answer. She's really good with it. Everything was found in the answer. It's right there. So
she couldn't just take the compliment.
No, I've got it. You're going to be on the couch tonight when I'm done with you. What makes Amy and Jim, or Jim and Amy, unstoppable is they are anti-cookie cutter. They care about you. They make decisions based on an investment mindset. They want you to spend more money, and they're not afraid, more importantly, to say no. Love that. That's what makes you unstoppable, in my humble opinion. Now we get to the F word, which is the other side of the coin of success. We'll start with Amy. What's your biggest failure?
What's my own personal biggest failure? In business or in life? In personal?
You're always asking me that specific stuff, right?
I told you.
Well, any way you want.
I'm specific.
You're the guest. Go for it. Take control.
Oh, I guess it's a mindset. I don't look at anything I've done as a failure. It was just one stepping stone to get to my next spot. I don't think I've ever looked back and said, I wish that wouldn't have happened, because I'm where I am right now because that did happen. So, I mean, I think if you're going to say my biggest mistake, I went through a divorce personally, but I mean, I don't regret any of it.
They don't count. That doesn't count.
They don't.
Well, no, because when it's combined, it's not a failure. I'm just talking about you in specific. So
yeah, I mean, anything that I've went through, we've done a lot of things. We've tried a business and it didn't work out. We've done that before. You know, I think you got to take risks. You got to be ready to fail. I don't know. I mean,
Jim, I'm going to give you the help on this one, okay? What I just said, she's in great company. 90%, if not more, of the audience on the Unstoppables, and we've had some scintillating guests, have a hard time with that word because they don't perceive it to be failure. They perceive it to be a necessary part of the bargain of success. You know, you don't bargain or negotiate with success. You meet it on its terms. And they think it's a setback. It's just something you got to do just to go forward. Just like, I really don't know what that was. So now with that said, okay, I'm helping you out here, okay? What's your biggest failure, you think?
Well, I would say, like you said,
don't say.
I wouldn't say it's a failure. No, I would say that.
I thought he was going to say, she's right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
No. No, we've maybe not a failure, but we've learned, like, when we first opened Nova, we spent so much money on marketing.
Yeah.
And we were trying to brand Nova with thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. And so I would say that was a mistake, maybe a failure, but you know, you just learn from those things. You know, it's not I don't really think of it as a failure, but I wish, looking back,
that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
That we did just went down the drain. I actually just spoke. I went to FGCU down here in Florida too, and I spoke to students there. And one of the things I was talking about was 5 mistakes not to make in business. And one of them was, don't try to use marketing to create your brand. You have to have a brand first that you can then take to market. And what we were trying to do was trying to create a brand by marketing.
We were trying to buy a brand.
Yeah.
Really do that.
I know you're on sleep deficit, but you cannot tease me like this. This isn't high school. So tell me the other 4. I know that was bad, wasn't it? Tell me the other 4 mistakes.
Do you remember them?
Marketing.
Oh, I was like, what is he talking about? I didn't know. I was not even. The biggest mistakes in business was, don't spend money you don't get debt that you can't afford. Don't spend money you don't have. Like, it's so tempting when you get in this business and business starts going good to go out and get this debt, right? But you have to know that you can afford that debt. That's a big one. And that's one that we didn't do personally, but I see it with business owners all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I learned? I learned this in a group that was tech that became Vistage, and they taught me early on. They said a little bit of success leads to a whole lot of overhead. And what happens usually with overhead is our ego. It's the same thing with athletes and their cars and their attachments to the material. But what happens to the overhead, the most difficult thing to get rid of is the people. So there's a variable of expenses, but the people, it's just, you buy the space, you want to fill it, your ego is going with it. I want 150, 200, 3,000 employees. And man, that's the beginning of the death march right there. So that was two. If you got the other three, you can take a little more.
Well, I remember another one, you just sparked on it. So don't ever make an investment without calculating the future profit of that investment. So don't ever hire an employee without knowing how much is that employee supposed to bring in. Don't ever buy that piece of equipment without knowing how much money that equipment is going to bring into you. Don't ever expand your business without knowing how much are you going to make from that expansion. So, we don't have enough time to get into how you calculate those numbers, but that's something that we help clients do, is find that break-even point of, is this the right decision or not? That's a big one that people, they just go out and do things flying by the seat of their pants and don't calculate what kind of money will this bring in.
No, that's a great one, because I coach people to always manage their downside. What's the worst case? How much does that cost you? What do you do? And, how do you, and the other thing that you're talking about, I'm going to go back to your subjective and then objective analysis of things, is you got to be able to measure the ROI in a pretty immediate time. So you can say, I got potential, and you're waiting, and you're just losing cash. So you got to really be able to realize that potential with people, and they've got to do it in a measurable way in a certain amount of time that brings you real money. That's objective. So those, if you got two more for me, I'll take them. If you don't, I'll move over to the next one.
You remember? You helped me do that presentation.
Yeah.
I have it.
Where can we find it? Where can we find that?
I'll have to post it. I'll tweet it. I just did it for FGCU, so I can probably tweet it.
See, the problem is you got so much great substance that I'm using this now self-serving. You know, I want to see I want to know what these things are. You got so much substance.
I know. I should tweet that. Like, we got to get better at social media. Or I can put it on our Facebook page. Nova Wealth Management has a Facebook page, so they should like us on Facebook, and then I can post them on Facebook.
Who's the head? Who's the heart of this company?
Oh.
It's a dual O. That's good.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. We have different roles for sure.
For sure.
I'll
say this. The only reason why I would say I'm a heart is because, like, for instance, a lot of firms will say they have a minimum. They'll say, like, oh, you got to have $1 million to come here. Whereas I constantly...
You're going to make me sound heartless.
No, I'm not. Just let me finish. You're going to make yourself sound heartless. So I constantly have meetings that I probably shouldn't have, but I'm trying to find out if they're going to grow. Like, they may have zero money. Like, I don't have a minimum is what I'm trying to say. They may have nothing, but what I want to know is if you're willing to do what it takes to get there, to grow, because I want to grow with you. So whereas most firms are like, oh, sorry, you don't meet our minimum. I take on a lot of meetings that I probably shouldn't, because I'm trying to find my heart goes out to people that are trying to make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, because you're investing your time, which we talked about is
time is money.
Time is money, but you're investing your time on that P word that gets those who are heart-centered, because I've been down this road and I will go down it tomorrow again, on potential. You want to see someone grow and think that you had something to do with that contribution, really, if it's environment, opportunity, or belief in that person, and to see them take off. That's a great feeling.
Yeah, Bill, I care about people too, though. I do. I like people.
He does, but like every business coach or whatever that you talk to is always like, don't waste time on things that don't make you money. You know what I mean? Like, cut out the clutter or whatever they call it. And I mean, so that's what ultimately he is trying to put, like a minimum, like an amount of time, because you're running a business. So I get it. I see both sides.
Well, you need both. You need both of you to be able to argue that one out over the kitchen table or over the business table. You do.
Yeah. I remembered another one.
Of the business?
Of the business, the 5 businesses.
We're getting close.
Yeah, so we're getting close. So the fourth one was, don't get comfortable. Don't ever get comfortable. You always have to be adjusting. You always do. Like, we fought it for a long time, and this is semi one of our own mistakes, is we fought social media for like the longest time. Like, we didn't want to do social media because we're like, that's not how we get our clients. Like, we get a lot of referrals, we get a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Organic growth. But in this day and age, like, that's where everything is. You have to do social media. So we, kind of missed the boat on that. We're doing it now, but I feel like that was my example that I gave. I'm like, never get comfortable. You always have to be adjusting if you want to be around for the long term. Always be bettering your business. Always.
Always, because success is always under construction. You got to keep raising the bar. And I believe this, and I had to talk about this yesterday. There are those people who are builders, there are those people who maintain, and then there are those people who are either making the next bar to get to the next level of improvement by building again, or the ones that are going to become obsolete because they don't change, they don't adapt, they don't strive. And strive is a human need. I love what you said with that, but in total alignment. So when you agree with me, I love it. Give me a defining moment. You can do this collectively. A defining moment for you in the business or in personal relationships. What is that one thing that changed the arc of trajectory that made all the difference for you?
You do?
I do. I know my defining moment, and I was with him, and I pick on him, but he's always impressed me so much. Like, he made such an impression on me, like just the other day at a meeting, and I'm still smitten by him. But anyway, so my defining moment was in the crash of '08 when Lehman Brothers failed.
Yeah.
We hit the phones between our 5 licensed bankers, our 2 assistants, and us 2, and called every single client. It was over 1,000 clients, and did what we could to move everybody to short-term bonds. So that was my defining moment. Like, wow, look at the difference we have made in these people's lives.
Wow.
Like, that was a huge, that was the time for me that I was like, active management is huge. Like, I couldn't, as the market just kept tanking and kept going down for the next 6 months, I just kept thinking to myself, wow, like, look at what we did. Like, it was just really cool to think, like, we made a huge difference. Like, this is what I want to do. This was my defining moment. Like, I want to do this, and I want to find more of these moments where I can make that difference.
Wow. What do you have to contribute there?
I don't think
Me, nothing. Yeah, that was fantastic.
That is
Can't beat that. I'm not following this.
Rock, man. That's in McCovey Cove if you're a San Francisco Giants fan. That means it's the water. That got it all. That was beautiful. What's next for you in this play forward? We always got to be achieving, never be comfortable, change people's lives, make a difference. What's next?
So we're working on some courses. So we're trying to build educational courses and also an ebook, because what we're both super frustrated with is people getting taken advantage of. People getting misled. So I'm not saying people that necessarily have fraud, although that's bad, but just in our industry, there's a lot of like watered down fraud, like it's borderline fraud, like they shouldn't have been giving that advice in the first place. And I'm sick of people not being given the right things. And so what's next for us is the education level. We're going to get these courses finished up. We're going to have, so far we have 7, I think. Good. And then our book is going to be an ebook, and we're going to release that. It's going to be like 62 tips, I think we got on how to not get taken advantage of.
Who's going to write it? Who's going to edit it? I know you're going to edit it, aren't you, Jeff?
She's going to. Yes, I did. Actually,
name the chapters, aren't you? Yeah, I got it.
We did edit it.
You know, there is, to me, I was at my most powerful when I had that tremendous cause orientation when I started, because I saw some of the inequities, some of the people that were taken advantage of, and I became that paladin, which is our symbol, that determined advocate that was going to change the nature of the industry, one heart, one mind at a time. And that burning fire transcended any kind of monetary aggrandizement. It truly did.
Right.
Now I'm a mercenary. I have to get paid for this stuff. So give me, being honest, give me one collective paragraph. You know, when we perish, when we're no longer on this earth, there's 1 or 2 types of people. The ones that take everything with them, they haven't shared, they take everything with them. And the ones that leave something behind. So if you're going to write a paragraph for your children, for other people to read and learn from, what would that paragraph consist of? What would it read like?
That's good. That's a good question.
Well, I always say, I don't know how great of a father I am because I'm not a disciplinarian.
Well, he gives in. He has a big heart.
Yeah. So I would want.
Daddy, can I do this? Oh, sure.
Yeah, they all know I love them to death. I love my 4 kids, and I have a lot of love, but I'm just not very good at disciplining. So I guess in my paragraph, I'd want to just know that they were loved.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's so funny that you mentioned discipline, because I think I would mention,
oh yeah,
just be disciplined in everything that you do. Like if you make a plan, stick to it. And if you can't stick to it, hire somebody that can help you stick to it. So just be disciplined in what you want.
Amy, that's why we have personal trainers in life, to hold us accountable, to be disciplined, because we can't find it within ourselves. I think that discipline gene, that ability to be disciplined, creates the habit creates that opportunity for the future. You're spot on with me. No sleep, you've been brilliant. And you know what? And you got to round out the screen, so it's good to have you on there too. You get my humor now, right? Where can we find you? Drive me to you, because I want to find more of you, and so does the audience. So where do we find you?
We're physically in Southwest Florida, but we have clients all over the country. So we're licensed in all states. But you can go to our website, novawealthmanagement.com, and find us on Facebook, Nova Wealth Management. Like us on Facebook. We're constantly posting resources and daily tips and daily statistics, and doing that Finance Friday live. So send us some topics that they want to hear, and we can do the live show on it and break that down. The podcast is the Nova Wealth Show, and Twitter at Nova Wealth Management. Management is MGMT.
Don't get off the air. They care. They have a collective mindset that is about sharing, contribution, no cookie cutter. It's all about the heart and the head, and they have both. You guys were great. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks
for having us.
Thank you.